Greetings. This devotion is for the 12th of July, and our reading comes from the 21st chapter of Acts, verses 27 through 39. When the 7 days were almost completed, the Jews from Asia who had seen him in the temple stirred up the whole crowd. They seized him, shouting, "Fellow Israelites, help! This is the man who is teaching everyone everywhere against our people, our law, and this place. More than that, he has actually brought Greeks into the temple and has defiled this holy place." For they had previously seen Trophimus the Ephesian with him in the city, and they supposed that Paul had brought him into the temple. Then all the city was aroused, and the people rushed together. They seized Paul and dragged him out of the temple, and immediately the doors were shut. While they were trying to kill him, word came to the tribune of the cohort that all Jerusalem was in uproar. Immediately he took soldiers and centurions and ran out to them. When they saw the tribune and the soldiers, they stopped beating Paul. Then the tribune came, arrested him, and ordered him to be bound with 2 chains. He inquired who he was and what he had done. Some of the crowds shouted one thing, some another, and he could not learn the facts because of the uproar. He ordered him to be brought into the barracks. When Paul came to the steps, the violence of the mob was so great that he had to be carried by the soldiers. The crowd that followed kept shouting, "Away with him!" Just as Paul was about to be brought into the barracks, he said to the tribune, "May I say something to you?" He replied, "Do you know Greek? Then you are not the Egyptian who recently stirred up a revolt and led the 4,000 assassins out into the wilderness." Paul replied, "I am a Jew from Tarsus in Cilicia, a citizen of the important city. I beg you, let me speak to the people." How quickly the crowds got upset. How quickly the crowds turned very violent. We certainly see this here with Paul. And unfortunately, we have certainly seen it happen in our own lifetime as well. In this lesson here, Paul does eventually speak with the crowd and tells them of his conversion. It doesn't work necessarily, but it gets to the point where he reminds the tribunal that he is a Roman citizen. And what they were doing, having him chained and all of that they were doing, was illegal. That led to a Roman trial that ended up out of the city and out of the craziness of what was the crowd. God's message gets lost in this kind of uproar thing, right? The anger blocked the love of the message of God. The anger blocked the crowd from hearing God's message. We've got to keep this in mind all the time. Okay? If you ever feel yourself starting, because once you're all the way angry, it's hard to think. Right? That's what happens, and that's the evidence we hear here, right? But if we just start to get to a point, it's time to take a step back. As soon as we can't hear God's loving message, we gotta know something's wrong. Pray the Lord's Prayer with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.